Hello again, Steve here, out on a bit of a walk on a beautiful winter's day, the 18th of February 2017, and it's about +8. In fact, I had my jacket off earlier and was walking in a t-shirt. And you know, it was actually mostly sunny earlier on. You can see the river down there, no ice on it for the most part. And +8, not that common in the Paris of the prairies, but you know what? On average, it can be -32, and sometimes it is, then it can be +8, because that's the average is somewhere in between. Today I wanted to share a little bit about a thought that came to me a little while ago. I just recently watched The Matrix for the first time. I'm kind of a late adopter of The Matrix, of the movie. Haven't ever watched it. But I thought it was quite interesting. I thought the analogy of the battery, of how, you know, as I'd said before, nobody, or very, very few people want us to be ourselves in life, and they want us to be their batteries, right? Most people want to suck off us, and not in a good way, usually in life. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the wording that was used in there, the one. They kept talking about Neo being the one, and some people say it's not Neo, but I think that's just a discussion point that'll go on. But I think the interesting point is the one, because this is a recurring theme that happens in a lot of mythologies throughout time. You know, if we think about the child Jesus, right? Whether or not you believe in it as a factual story, it's an interesting concept that comes up about the one in there as well, right? And you look at the Buddhists with the Dalai Lama, you know, they find the one, and different cultures find the one. And the one, if you look at, you look at etymologies and you look at different wordings, you can see that one also is, if you were look at the word solo, if you're going solo, you're going on your own, right? You're going by yourself. And I would suspect, if you were to look deep enough, you'd find that the word soul and the word solo are related. So, you know, the soul is like your oneness, right? Your individuality, your uniqueness. You could say it as that. You know, strip out all the spiritual trappings and religious trappings out of it, and that's what you really have, I would say. And that's quite interesting, because in the Christian context, which is, you know, most of the Western world is a Christian context, you have this soul, this one, and then you have the story of this Christ, right? This Christ character, the persona of God. And that Christ, the Christians will say, is in everybody's heart. So that's Christ there, that's Christ there, that's Christ there. It's a figment of Christ. It's a person of Christ in everyone, right? So in that respect, if you follow it out, what it's saying, the one is in everyone. In fact, we use the word one, right? Everyone is the one. It's there. It's just for us to discover it. And that's interesting, because so many people, and recurring in this story of the Matrix, sorry for the bit jiggling around, I'm walking here, but that's the nature of walking, I guess, not having it stabilized. It seems like in a lot of these different cultures, they're looking for the one to save them, right? To save them from their troubles and to help them with success and what have you. And of course, Jewish tradition had a story of a Messiah coming to save them from their troubles with the Romans at the time, I guess it was. And this dude Jesus showed up, and you know, he was more interested in talking to the low-hanging fruit, the average common individual, rather than the bigwigs. So he was a threat to the power structure, so he had to be gotten rid of. But what lived in there in the story, but it was a recurring theme, right, which had gone through history and humanity, is always this nature to try to reach out for the one. Probably because it's easier. It's easier to unload our troubles onto our scapegoat, onto our God, onto our so-called leaders. But when we realize that our salvations in terms of our troubles and our successes in life begin with us. We realize that in fact, as far as we're concerned, we're the one. We are the one. And like I say, it relates back to the word solo. You know, you could say true self, soul, alone, all one. And it's just a little reflection on ourselves, I guess, that, you know, if we truly understand strip away all of the, take the moral of the story, right, of that, this Christ dwelling within each and every one of us, then we have what it takes within us to make the first steps towards our salvation. In fact, the Christians say that all salvation comes through Christ. There's no other way. And, you know, one way of looking at that is that the way to our troubles is to go inside of ourselves and to find the strength to make those steps. And then, of course, the story goes on that says we also need this God the Father, the creator of everything, the everything else, right? Because if we think about it, there's controllables and uncontrollables, right? So the Christ is like the controllables within us. We can actually take our power of intuition and our power of strength and our power of reason and all that sort of thing, muster it to make strides in our world. But that world exists as a experienced separateness from us. Not completely separate, but it's an experience of that. That you could say is everything else, or the bigger God, the Godhead, right? We can't do without that. We need all that material as well. We need to muster our strength within that context and use all that material, the efforts of others and so on, as the infinite power that we can muster and bring together. I think it's all interesting to talk about this sort of stuff, because there's so much we can do really to motivate ourselves to make a difference in our world, which makes a difference in everybody else's world, as far as I can see. A few comments again. Steve here today, talking about soul, solo, inner power, and so on. And I think it all relates to a new website I'm developing, innergenie.com. So once again, Steve here signing off, innergenie.com, coming to a internet portal near you, and enjoying a warm winter's day in the Paris of the prairies. Talk again soon. Bye for now. Oop, doesn't want to turn off for some reason. Try that again. Nope. Oh well.